So many of you ask me what I do to make my fragrances last longer, to extend the life of my fragrances. I've received countless emails. In addition to the emails, I've gotten comments on YouTube here. I've gotten messages and comments on Instagram and of course Facebook as well. And I thought I'd put together a video to give you my tips and tricks on what I do to make my fragrances last longer. So if you're curious to learn about what to do to extend the life of your fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today we're going to talk about what I do to extend the life of my fragrances, how to make your fragrances last longer. These are tips and tricks that I've figured out to do on my own, and I do them and it does work for me. But everything is a trial and error. You're going to have to do the tips and tricks yourself to see what works best for you. And I've got 7 of them here. But, you know, the first thing I know that I need to do is I work from home, right? So most of you probably don't work from home. You probably go to an office. So you probably in the morning shower and, you know, dress and go out. One of the things I've learned is when I apply my fragrances after I've just showered, they don't last as long as, let's say I've showered, hung out at home, I've had a little perspiration, you know? And then I apply my fragrances, then my fragrances tend to last longer. So I don't know science, I don't know biology, I don't know about bodies and things like that. I've got very dry skin, right? So when I dry off after a shower and then I apply my fragrances and I rush out the door, I know that my fragrances are not going to last. I don't know what it is, but it's that clean skin, dry skin that kind of just eats up the fragrance and it disappears. But if I hang out at the house for an hour or two, or if I leave for an hour or two, and you know, of course you're moving around, you're perspiring a little bit, it creates some kind of like a coating on your, like the sweat or whatever, the perspiration, and you apply it on there. I've noticed that my fragrances last longer when I do that versus when I spray right away and leave. Then I know I'm going to have to reapply over and over and over again. Of course, my tricks are to do this with it when I'm showering, but if I know that I'm going to leave right away, I apply lotion after I've showered and dried off. So after I've dried off from the shower, I apply lotion most of my body because I do have dry skin, and I don't really have a lot of time to apply lotion every day. But when I know that I'm going to need fragrances to last a long time and I need to run out the door right away, I use an inexpensive or budget men's unscented lotion. Not scented is what I was going to say. It's from Lubriderm. It's men's 3-in-1 moisturizing body lotion with aloe. It's very inexpensive. It's a big bottle from Amazon for like 12 bucks, I think. And it lasts a long time, and it doesn't have any scent because I don't want my scent to clash with the lotion, of course. But what I do is I apply that lotion after I've dried off and then wait for it to dry up a little bit, and then I apply the fragrance on top of it. So basically it creates a kind of a layer or a film, or like it's acting like a primer. So it's got this coating on your skin, and so it doesn't wear off as fast as if you've just put it on when you just dried off from the shower. Anyway, for me, one of the worst things to do is spray fragrance on just after I've showered, and I know when I do that it's not going to last. So either I'm hanging out and then I'm applying like an hour or 2 later when you've got that little bit of a, you know, perspiration, and then you apply, or you're going to apply this lotion on top. But some of you don't shower in the mornings. I know some people that shower at night, which I think you'll be pretty set, because if you don't shower in the mornings and you're running out the door, then you know you're going to have that kind of perspiration on your skin, that layer of whatever it is, the sweat or perspiration. And I think if you do not shower in the mornings, I think you're going to be better off with making your fragrance last longer than if you did shower in the morning and dried off and applied and ran out the door. This is something I've figured out on my own. It might not work for you, but try. And if you know you're going to run out the door right away after you've showered, try the application of the lotion. I think the lotion should actually kind of like be that primer or extra layer to extend the life of your fragrances. So if you don't like the idea of applying lotion, there are some primers that you could use, or enhancers, boosters and things like that out there in the world. One of the fragrances, or collection of fragrances I speak about a lot as far as priming fragrances go or boosting fragrances go are the Escentric molecules fragrances. Especially Molecule 1 and Molecule 2, which are hardly scented. And so after you've showered, you've dried off, apply this fragrance on. I mean, you can actually apply the lotion, then apply this to extend the life even longer. But if you don't want to put the lotion on, you can put these on, spray it after you've dried. Let this particular fragrance, let the molecule fragrance dry, and then apply the fragrance on top. Now, you can also do it with Molecule 4, which is probably the strongest of the smell. It's the sandalwood. You're going to kind of have to figure out kind of like how to do mixology, because this one, since it is scented, the Molecule 4 might clash with your fragrances. So this is a sandalwood smell, Molecule 4 that is. It's Javanol is the note, the synthetic molecule. You can apply that, and if you think that Javanol with its creaminess and the sandalwoodiness might complement other fragrances, then you can, do it. Like I think with this Javanol in the Molecule 4, since it is so strong, you can do it as a primer or an enhancer booster for woody fragrances. You might actually do it with gourmand fragrances. So basically, these will act as your extra layer on your skin. So spray it on, let it dry, and then spray the fragrance you want to lay on top of that, and then leave. I think that's a great way to extend the life of your fragrances, the Escentric molecules fragrances. I did not select 3 and 5 here, Molecule 3 and Molecule 5, because I feel like those are really, really strong in smell. So those I don't really do for enhancing, unless with Molecule 3, it is a very vetiver fragrance. It smells like it's it's like a fragrance on its own. So if you want to extend the life of a vetiver fragrance, you can apply the Molecule 3. And I haven't figured out Molecule 5. But then going back to Molecule 1, again, they have Molecule 1 with Mandarin Orange, Molecule 1 with Patchouli, and Molecule 1 with Iris. So if you're wearing a Patchouli fragrance and you want that extension, you can apply that to Molecule 1 Patchouli and spray something like, maybe something like Psychedelic or Reminiscence Patchouli. Psychedelic is already pretty beast mode, but you can extend the life of it. And then of course Reminiscence is not as beastly as Psychedelic. So you spray on the Molecule 1 with the Patchouli and then let that dry and then apply the Reminiscence Patchouli. But you can also work with the Mandarin Orange, because the Mandarin Orange is the citrusy one. I'm sure you can layer that with a lot of different citruses. Spray on the Molecule 1 plus Mandarin, let it dry, and then spray some citrusy fragrances on top. But it's not limited to just those. You can try it with Juliette Has a Gun's Not a Perfume. Not a Perfume on its own, I think it'll be a good one. Not a Perfume Superdose, on the other hand, is very, very strong and has a major smell to it. So that one you got to be careful with what you layer with. A couple of others I should say. This Hermetica Source one I think is really, really great. Not only does it have a pleasant smell, it's actually also a bit oily. So I feel like that will be perfect. Let it, put it on. You can actually rub this in, let it dry, and then spray the fragrance on top. It's got a pleasant woody, kind of a light citrusy ambery smell. It's very, very pleasant. It's very light. So you'll have to kind of figure out, okay, is my fragrance not going to clash with Source 1? Let me think. It's got amber, it's got woods. I'm wearing a very woody fragrance. I think it's going to be fine with it. If I'm wearing something that's going to clash, I would not mix it with that. So that is a great one, and I like this softening, moisturizing quality of this. Don't forget also Cheeky Smile. It's pretty strong, it's pretty intense, but spray that on as a primer and then apply something woody on top, or ambery, or gourmand. And then finally, these Monoscent fragrances are also great for enhancing or boosting or priming with other fragrances. So Monoscent E is almost like Escentric Molecules Molecule 1. You could use that as a woody primer, enhancer, booster. Or Monoscent G is a musk. That is perfect for adding a musky layer to any fragrances. So that's a great thing to do to enhance your fragrances and to actually extend the life of your fragrances. Now moving on to the fourth trick, layer your fragrances to intensify them and to make them last longer. Again, you will do the lotion or the primer of any of the molecules and you know, synthetic fragrances I just spoke to you about, then you can layer fragrances on top of it. So if you have a layering combo, let's say for example, Jo Malone's Orange Blossom is an eau de cologne. It doesn't last as long but smells fantastic. It's a very, very realistic orange blossom fragrance. It doesn't last. You want to extend the life of it, so you want to apply something like Nectar from Commodity, because I think Nectar from Commodity kind of has similarities to Orange Blossom from Jo Malone. So Nectar is an eau de parfum. Orange Blossom from Jo Malone is eau de cologne. So what I would do is I would apply the lotion first, or if you don't want to do the lotion, I would apply something like Molecule 1 or Molecule 2, let it dry, or let the lotion dry. First I would apply the stronger of the two perfumes, which is Nectar from Commodity, let that dry, and then on top of that apply the Orange Blossom. Now when you're doing these layering tricks, you're going to have to figure out the ratio. Which one do I spray more? Because the eau de parfum for Nectar is stronger than the eau de cologne for Jo Malone's Orange Blossom, you're going to probably have to spray more of Jo Malone versus the Nectar from Commodity. So this is all stuff that you're going to have to practice and try, and you'll come to a conclusion of how to do. Like perhaps you'll do lotion first, let it dry, or you'll do Molecule 1 first, let it dry. I would do with the molecules like 1 or 2 sprays and just cover enough space where you normally spray and let it dry there. And then you'll do, let's say, two sprays of Nectar on top of the primer or the like molecule or lotion, let it dry, and then do 3 or 4 sprays of Orange Blossom. So that way they're not clashing, they smell similar, then you're boosting the fragrance and you're making it last longer. At least that's worked for me. Perhaps it'll work for you as well. I think layering is a great way to make fragrances more intense and to last longer. If you don't want to do any of these like you know, recipe type things with your fragrances, applying this and applying that and adjusting the quantity of sprays, wear strong fragrances. I've got a ton of videos on the channel. You can just search for Beast Mode, you can search for Most Intense, you can search for Longest Lasting, you can search for Sillage, Projection, and you'll have a list of fragrances, videos that come up with fragrances that are super, super strong, at least for me. And you can watch those videos and then find fragrances that sound great to you. Now, the only thing that I've noticed with a lot of people here is the subjectivity with fragrances. I sometimes say a fragrance is super strong, and somebody comes and says that fragrance doesn't last on me, and vice versa. So this is all up in the air, very subjective. You're gonna have to play around, get samples before you buy a full bottle. There's also environmental issues that go in. When I say a fragrance is super strong and somebody says it's super weak, what did they do before they sprayed it? Did they not, you know, shower right away and spray and run out the door? Because for me, when I do that, as I said, even super strong fragrances don't last as long. So gonna have to figure it all out. But I do have a ton of lists on the channel of videos focusing on the strongest, longest lasting, beast mode, projection, sillage, all of that stuff. Go watch them to find out. Another thing I started doing lately, since I have been styling my hair with product, and it's kind of not oily, but a little greasy, like product to style my hair, like pomade and things like that, I have started spraying fragrances on top of that. So this just totally extends the life. If you want to smell great, this is one thing that I do. Now, I will do the tricks on my body, but I will also have my styled hair sprayed on. So I will just spray the fragrance on top of it. I know there's some issues with people saying that it'll dry your hair and everything, but I have that product on top, so it's got a layer of this gunky kind of greasy pomade stuff on my hair, and when I spray that fragrance on my hair, it lasts. I will smell that fragrance on me. So if I'm smelling it and I haven't gone anosmic to it, most likely somebody else is going to smell it as well. So this is a great trick for me to do. Now, if you don't want to put regular fragrances on your hair, there's all kinds of fragrances that are made for hair that you can actually get the body version of it and the hair version of it, and that will extend the life of it. And then speaking of the body version and versus a hair version of a fragrance, you can also get lotions that are scented of the same fragrance, and those are not available with a lot of niche fragrances, more for designers, but I think that's a great way to make your fragrances last longer as well. And then finally, spray it on your clothes. I think if you want your fragrances to last long, don't spray it just on yourself, spray it on your clothes. Man, if I do that, my fragrances are going to last. And if I'm doing it with beast mode fragrances or the most intense fragrances, I know I'm going to smell like nuclear, you know? I'm going to smell great. My fragrance is probably going to be smelled by everyone around me, and that's what I want. I want my fragrances to be smelled by everyone. I want everyone to smell my fragrance. Anyway, those are my tips and tricks on how to make my fragrances last longer or to extend the life of the fragrances that I wear. Do you guys have any tips and tricks that you can recommend? Put a comment down so I can find out. Have you tried any of these tips and tricks? Do you do them? And also, what kind of fragrances last a long time on you and what kind of fragrances do not? And have you noticed that sometimes people say fragrances last longer on them, but those fragrances don't last long on you, when somebody says they don't last a long time on them and they last a long time on you? I'd like to find this out because I've noticed this quite a bit, and that's why I generally tend to not talk about performance, because I say it's a long-lasting fragrance and somebody says it's not, so I don't want to talk about that because it is all very subjective and very, very environmental issues go into the extension life of fragrance. So these tricks might work for you. Try them and see. Come back and let me know what you think. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.